You are just not one person. Think about it. You act different from when you're around your friends to when you're around your parents. You're someone else when you're in a room alone versus when you're in a classroom or at work. And the person that you was 2 years ago, you probably cringe at their actions. So the real question is, which one is the real you? The true answer is a little bit confusing because it's all of them and none of them at the same time. Today, we're going to talk about something that changed how I see myself and honestly how I see others. It's the idea that you aren't one fixed thing. You're like water. You take the shape of whatever container you're in. It's not fake or code switching. That's just human nature. It's your boy, Tay Out The Way. And if you stick around, you'll find out by the end of this video, who am I? And rather than asking that question, start answering yourself the better questions. So, point number one for today is going to be society and archetypes. Now, humans like simple ideas. So, they'll reduce something down to the most basic form it can. That's why we have archetypes in society, being the nerd, the jock, the funny guy, the hot girl, the gym guy, because it's easy for people to process the things that are associated with that thing. However, the problem with the archetypes is that you don't actually know that person 100%. So, yeah, they might be a gym bro and they go to the gym all the time. However, you don't actually know that they've got a lot more going on behind the scenes. They could be a very emotionally intelligent person, but the association with gym people is that they're usually all muscle and no brain and they're dumb. And that's the problem in society. You're assigned an archetype without people truly knowing who you are or what you want to be. Now, just because society gives you an archetype doesn't mean that that is what you are forever. Now, I'll give you an example of this. So, right out of college, I was the funny guy, the guy that didn't take life too serious, the guy that just liked to have fun at the cost of looking like an idiot. So much so to the point where I had a job in retail. Now, in the UK, we have a shop called Superdrug, and it's basically like a beauty store. Probably don't have it in other places of the world, but long story short, it's a retail job, right? And because I was this funny guy that no one took serious, I started thinking about my actions and wanting to improve. So I decided to buy my first ever book, which is The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. I brought it to work with me one day, and one of my colleagues caught me reading, and she found it funny because it was outside of the character that they knew me as, to the point where she then started telling people that I was reading, and people tried to make digs at me for wanting better for myself. But the thing that confused me at the time was, why are you making fun of someone for trying to better themselves? And bearing in mind, I was the youngest person in the shop at the time that was an adult. So I was 18, and all these people that were making fun of me were 25 to 40 years of age. But that's more of a reflection of themselves because they're projecting their issues onto me. They're going to be stuck in retail for the rest of their lives. And I knew that I wanted to do something different, something more. And I thought that was quite interesting, that the fact that they think people are so one dimensional, like you are just this one thing and that's all you ever will be. But now I realize that they never really knew me as good as they thought they knew me, because no one will ever know you 100% because you only decide to tell people certain things or show them certain things. So they will only ever see you as what you show you to be, but they can never really know the real you. Then a point that I got taught by a YouTuber called Taekwondo, who also makes self improvement content, is that who you are varies from person to person. Now, what I mean by that is every time you meet someone new, they will get a different version of you. So, to your younger cousin, you might give them loads of advice and knowledge, and you might be seen as a teacher or a person of wisdom in their eyes. But then the moment that you get around your friends, you might be the fool of the group. You might be the laughing stock, the one that doesn't take life seriously, the one that everyone thinks is just a funny guy, the guy you want to have fun with. And I think that's very interesting, that every time you meet someone, you can either make yourself appear better, worse, the same. You can basically create a whole new you every time that you interact with someone. Now, the second thing I want to talk about today is who you think you are. Now, the person you are today is basically just a sum of all your lived experiences, whether it's good or bad. They have formed your current version of yourself. However, what's to say that you experiencing new things won't create a new version of you, a version of you that you prefer than the current version of yourself right now? And a lot of those problems stem from self talk or boxing yourself into one category. So, your entire life, you've been told, oh, you're the person that we're just around for fun, or you're the person that has all the connections, so we'll go to you for this thing, or you're the good Christian boy, so if I need a friend as a scapegoat to go out and do something that I shouldn't be doing, they're going to use your name. But you are more than that. You could be the good Christian friend, however, you might sin a lot. But that's because people don't know the true you. They know what they think they know of you. And with who you think you are, you tend to fear change. And that could be for a number of reasons. It could be that you fear being judged by your friends. It could also be that you're afraid to see yourself any differently because it's all you've ever known. I had a friend, and he was so worried about his image aligning with what we all knew that when he wanted to buy some new clothes, he felt like he would be judged because it wasn't his normal aesthetic. And he comes to me asking for advice, and I said, well, why does it matter? Whatever you decide to wear, if you wear it long enough, that will become the new look for you. And then no one will be able to say that, oh, that's not his look. But I think it's quite funny that even something as small as clothes are tied to our personality so much that you're scared to change it because it's not what you're associated with. And the final thing I want to talk about for this point is the fact that there was no specific point where you just turned into the person that you currently are. It was all the little things. Every time that you told yourself you could do something, you couldn't do something. If you believed in yourself, didn't believe in yourself, whether someone betrayed you or someone changed your life. So if there's no origin of the current person that you are, then there's nothing to stop you from becoming something new. And the final thing that I want to talk to you guys about today is fluidity, or who you want to become. You can create any image of yourself that you want. If you want to go from being a thug to an intellectual who reads and invests in stocks and does all that kind of stuff, there's nothing stopping you from doing that other than your own fear of being judged for it not being your thing. I believe that the whole point of life is to be flexible and evolve. Every new you will compound into the next. So if you decide to go from the thug to an intellectual, yes, your new you is the intellectual who is normally associated with being more docile or avoidant of conflict. However, because you've already been a thug, then now it compounds. So now you're a whole new archetype because that's an archetype completely unique to yourself. And other people can do the same thing. So they can go from the thug to the intellectual, but their lived experiences will determine which way they lean more because everyone's lived experience is completely unique. So even if you have a similar story to someone else, it will never be the exact same. And every time that you change or start thinking about new things, you become a more interesting person, and others will want to know your story, where you started out, and see where your vision is going in the future. It also gives you a chance to prove people wrong about what they think about you or the archetype that you're normally given. Now, I want you to comment below and just tell me 3 people who have changed your life or